Dying Light 2 progresses on the zombie apocalypse genre once again with its amazing open world and parkour mechanics. Today, we present to you a bit about the game, in addition to what fans and pros have to say about it, along with some other gaming news, so sit tight as we take a dive into today's video. First, a bit about the game. You could easily spend hours upon hours within Dying Light's open world and walk away pretty satisfied after a hectic day. But that's not all. You'd be surprised to know there's another, even larger map to explore within the game. It might be so that Techland panicked at the idea of their promise when it came to taking up to 500 hours to completely finish all the side quests in addition to the main story, but to make sure to deliver on that promise. The studio did backtrack to saying that the game would be finished in over 80 hours, which pretty much matches what fans and critics had to say about their playthrough of the game, in addition to various add-ons within the game. Despite playing through the game, fans and critics still feel like they've missed out on a lot of nooks and crannies, and there's still a lot more to discover when it comes to secrets and Easter eggs, as the game's just come out recently. There are lots of things that still remain foggy and have still barely been touched. Now, let's look into the reactions by fans and pros. Many fans and critics took to Twitter to express their views, and we've got a little summary that explains pretty much every critique that they threw at the game. Techland has made sure to address any problems, as they've stated that they'll remove all of the issues in a future quality of life update for the game, which will also continue to add more content in the form of updates and DLC content. Many have stated that Dying Light 2 is a very enjoyable game, and the open world concept realizes that core fantasy as you try to survive in the zombie-infested city. You can explore the game, find missions and side quests at random, and when all hell breaks loose, you can make split-second decisions to fight hordes of zombies or flee for your life, and make it to high ground by using many of the game's parkour mechanics. The game also features tons of tools and skills you can unlock. You can even enter a total flow state, which enables you to pivot on footfalls to avoid danger and leap from rooftop to rooftop without having to look down. Dying Light 2 also features a paraglider that makes traversal from rooftop to rooftop much easier due to the vast skyline of the game that's pretty diverse and dense compared to the older game that took place in the slums of Haran. Now a bit about the gameplay. Combats can have fluid movements as well, especially when you're supposed to dodge multiple obstacles like blocks, walls, and nails, but the system starts to get muddled middle to late in the story by numerous enemies layering a crazy amount of attacks. At the beginning, it's all about using blocks to stun enemies and opponents as you begin to vault over them to unleash devastating two-footed kicks that drop them to the floor instantly. This killer move gives even Deathloop a run for its money. Now, problems with the game's story, voice acting, and choice system. Overall, when you think about the day-to-day world, it's pretty good, and there's plenty of stuff to discover all throughout the map. However, when you move over to the story side of things and the characters, the situation does start to seem a little less impressive. There's only a few characters that have memorable moments and bear any sort of charisma to make an impression on the player. The writing seems to be all over the place when it comes to the quality of the plot, and it might be due to the fact that one of the big-name writers was removed due to some harassment accusations in the workplace. There are loads of questionable performances, especially when it comes to side characters where they are delivering lines that appear to not have been clearly stated or read out loud when they were recorded. In a nutshell, the voice acting in some of the quests is pretty bad, and Techland could have done an overall better job when it came to this aspect. There were some odd phrases and some weird choices of vocabulary that do seem okay in fine print, but their delivery was pretty odd and off-putting. Fans and pros also came forward to state that many of the character interactions do feel a bit disconnected from the game as a whole, which is pretty off-putting once again. The game tries to confirm things verbally rather than visually, which is kind of sketchy as well. There are many strange moments where characters clumsily state backstory lines into a simple fetch request that just doesn't add up to make the game as immersive as it wants to be. We can't really tell if the story was rushed or written around elements that couldn't have been changed, as it seems like the developers kind of focused more on the gameplay and mechanics, which do a pretty great job. But the story writing and voice acting can break immersion and make the whole experience a bit dull, and often feels like you're meeting theme park performers when they recite lines to keep the show moving rather than realistic people in a lively world. It's pretty disappointing to find out that your choices and actions really have little impact on the game and the turn of events of the story, which was supposed to be the original pitch of the game. The original pitch stated that every action and course of events in the game had some sort of ramifications, and the world would grow organically and change radically according to what you did in it. But it actually comes down to unlocking regional facilities like water towers or electrical substations, and you get to choose who gets them in exchange for upgrades. If you give stuff to the peacekeepers, you'll get traps and weapons in return, while the survivors enable you to get aids like zip lines and jump lines to make traversal on the rooftops much easier. Let's take a look at misogynistic remarks in the game. Fans have also been outraged about some odd, semi-misogynistic and sexist dialogue, which surprisingly made it into the game in the first place. Someone also calls a female character a misogynistic insult at one point of the game, which sparks a spectacular lack of understanding of the phrase. Pretty unsettling if you ask us. There's also a voodoo priestess character added into the game who has face paint and a thick accent for no apparent reason at all. Now, the GTA 6 update. GTA fans finally have a chance to rejoice as Rockstar Games officially announced their next big project in the works, which is officially titled as GTA 6. Fans are pretty hyped as they have only seen the same game being re-released for over 9 years now from the PS3, PS4, and to the PS5 in addition to the Xbox counterparts. Fans have been playing GTA Online for years, which Rockstar has been updating with in-game content for over 9 years now to keep the fans engaged as much as they can, in addition to some updates on some old beloved characters. In a recent post on Twitter, Rockstar Games stated that many of the fans have been eagerly asking about a new entry into the GTA series, and with every project, their goal is to deliver significantly better, and they want to make sure that whatever they released is polished to perfection. And with that said, they were proud to announce that GTA 6 is actively being developed as the next installment in the GTA franchise. That's all we know so far about the GTA series, and Rockstar hasn't added any news updates in regards to the story or the characters. Time will tell. Sony hopes to buy Bungie. Sony PlayStation recently decided to acquire Bungie for around $3.5 billion. The game studio was most famous for releasing the game Destiny and Destiny 2, which is the free loot and shoot FPS video game that's being played by an active community and a loyal fan base. The game is currently free to get into if you feel like it. Bungie is also in hopes of releasing a new IP in the future as well in late 2025, and fans are pretty hyped about it. But enough about that. Fans are kind of worried if this means that Sony will make Bungie's upcoming games PlayStation exclusives, to which head of Sony responded with the fact that they aren't going to be making games exclusive and respect their competitors and let them have Bungie's games as well. This is good news for the gaming community. Bungie has a loyal fan base, and many loyal fans of the community are going to be focused and move towards becoming a part of the Sony PlayStation family as well, which is the main goal of Sony, to strengthen and unite the gaming community as a whole, which is the main reason for this acquisition. And that's all for today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on for future videos. Goodbye, and have a great day.